Instagram going live too. Here, hang on, let's adjust that volume. Maybe you can hear me now. Shalom, 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 party people. Welcome to the 12th C. Let's see. 14 followers active right now on the IGs. Hey, we are live. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Let's see if both of those can see me now. Let us go, let us go, let us go. Let's see what we can do. Shalom. I bet that audio is better now. There we go. I can live with that. All right, for those of you watching in the future, 20 push-ups is your cost of admission. Got YouTube right here, Instagram right here, and we will live chat, see if we can leave that on. All right, we'll see what happens. We got somebody over on YouTube. I can live with that. Let's exercise. All right. Oh, there it is. Maybe. We'll find out. That one auto release right there, that was like really, really nice. Adjust those cameras. Let's see if I'm even visible. Vaguely. Do a marginal increase in brightness there. See if that improves. Who we got? We got Guy. Shalom, brother. Do 20 push-ups, but that's all for me tonight. I ate too much spaghetti. Well, if you ate too much spaghetti, maybe you should do more than 20 push-ups, but I know the feeling. The helpmate and I, we have been doing less carbs, and ate some carbs the other day and was like, oh wow, I feel it now. So I feel the pain. So I will do 20 push-ups with you, my brother. Thirteen. 14. 16. 17. 20. I can live with that. Guy, it looks like it's just you and me tonight. Whew. What is up? Josh, how are you? Shalom, brother. Whew. What do you guys want to talk about tonight? No big deal. Pulse is only 95. That's easy stuff. So I'm a little late because the Big C Christian church that I attend, I assist with security, and because I don't want to see people get hurt, and we've had a few minor medical incidences that have involved ambulances where people have had high blood pressure and things like that. And so we called a team meeting early and made sure everybody on the team knew how to take blood pressure, knew how to use pulse ox, knew how to use a what is that thing, the diabetic blood sugar glucose meter. We made sure everybody knew how to use those, and having another child within the next week or two. Oh, big stuff, guy, big stuff. Congratulations. Do a birthing bucket. So yeah, we made sure that. We made sure people knew how to check pupil dilation, pupil response, look for eyes tracking, things like that. So taking basic vitals, writing it down on duct tape, slapping it on, people before they move. We have made sure that people know how to put on a tourniquet, that they know how to pack wounds, those kind of things. And so that meeting ran late and had to get El Niños to bed-o, so all that good stuff. But yeah, what's new in y'all's lives? Oh. And Josh, don't forget it's your 20 push-ups as your cost of admission. Yeah, and postpartum bucket, just me and your helpmate, very happy, very, very good stuff. Hey, I have it on good authority that if you use those buckets for what they're designed for, and you report the life birthed, that they will replace what you used. I have that on very good authority. So beware. And totally drop them a review on those. So what is up? Shalom. So my helpmate, when we were having our first, she woke me up in the middle of the night and said, "Hey, it's time." And I'm like, "Okay, like how much time?" And she's like, "Now." I'm like, "Oh, okay, now," because you always hear contractions are 2-3 minutes apart for an hour, that hey, it's go time. And we had false labor, so and this wasn't it. And so we go, and the hospital sends us away, and it's like, nope, it's not go time. And we're like, "Are you sure? Because it's been a couple hours and she's been one on top of the other. Can you guys look into that for us?" And they're like, nope, go home. And we're like, "Are you sure? She's due now." And going into all the labor signs, and they sent us home, and we came back when contractions had been literally on top of each other for 2 hours straight. And they're like, no, you need to go home. And we're like, "No, I don't think so." And she's like, no, you need to go home. And we're both like, "No, she's having this baby now." And we stayed for like an hour and walked, and they checked, and they're like, no, not yet. Just like, we were having this baby. And they sent us home, and we came back pretty quick. And contractions had been on top of each other for hours and just no let up. And they're like, I don't know if you're ready yet or not. But day 8, 75 hard. Been rucking in the AM and doing treadmill at night. Got to get into kettlebells. Any tips, advice on where to start? Let me finish this story, and I'll 100% kettlebell tip you up. So the helpmate was like, no, it's time. We're having this baby. Like, if we have to have this baby in the lobby, we're having this baby. And we were finally admitted, and they admitted us too soon, but we were finally admitted. And they did all their stuff, and 51 hours of contractions clear on top of each other before it was baby time. So, Guy, I hope and pray that yours is a lot quicker. And I saw in there that he said another one, so I assume this isn't the first go. So hopefully a lot easier. Our second one was substantially easier than the first one. Day 8 of 75 hard, you've been rucking in the AM and doing treadmills at night. You want to get into kettlebells. Any tips, advice on where to start? So this is a 35 pounder that I got from, what is it? Sam Walton's Discount Emporium that's on every street corner now. I mean, you really can't go wrong with just about any kettlebell. I mean, you're going to spend money for the more weight you go. I would recommend getting a heavier kettlebell than you think you need. When I got this one, I couldn't lift it hardly. If you can do pull-ups, then, you know, go somewhere above 30 pounds. If you can't do pull-ups, then, you know, I'd start at about that 30-pound mark. I would check Facebook and, you know, like the marketplace and Craigslist and all of that, and like eBay local pickups, garage sale, all that stuff. You might find some, especially this time of year, people are like, oh, well, you know, getting rid of this and maybe I can catch some of the fitness crazed people. And, you know, if you can pick one up for half what it retails for, I think you're getting a great deal. But I mean, kettlebells they're expensive. You may find some free weights, really cheap, that just have the, you know, weight on each side. And then you can buy a handle on Jeff Bezos' Space Cowboy Fund, Discount Emporium, and that handle like clips onto the free weight, and it will turn the free weight into a kettlebell. So if you have like a set of free weights, then you can have a set of kettlebells just from the clip onto that. There's also a company called Rock Weights, ROCK Weights, that they it's like a plastic shell, and it ships to your house like stupid cheap, like, because where you're going to pay money for kettlebells is shipping, and it ships to your house for like stupid cheap. And you go buy like the cheapest bag of Quickcrete that you can put your money on, so $4, and you mix that up with water and you dump it in, and you let it sit for 2-3 days, and it will turn into like a 30 or 35 pound kettlebell. So that is one way to do it. Like, you're going to want to wrap the handle with grip tape, but that is a really inexpensive way to get into a decent kettlebell. You will break it, but it's not that bad. You'll get a lot of good use out of it. Your son was 10 hours. Daughter was 6 hours of contractions, and 2 of that was labor. Wife feels for you. Yeah, 100%. Son was 10 hours, but way easier. Oh, I'm glad. So with the kettlebell, the whole concept is really more of swings, and less of like what you typically would do with free weight stuff. But some general motions that you can get into is, if you did any martial arts at all and you know what a horse stance is, you're gonna do that. Otherwise, it's just loading up your squat. You know, your feet are more than shoulder width apart. The kettlebell is gonna be just kind of dangling near where your family jewels are, and just kind of bend your knees a little bit. And what you do is with both hands, you just raise the kettlebell up to shoulder level, and then you bring it back down, and you just don't smack yourself in the gonads. And then as you come down, you continue to bend your knees a little bit, and you can actually swing forward with your upper body. And so the kettlebell will actually completely miss everything important in your life, and you come back up, and then you will swing it back up and go down, swing it back up and go down. And from the side, just so you can see that a little bit better, bend your knees and up and down and up and down. And when you get crazy with it, you can single hand come up, you can single hand go out, and it's the continuous motion. It is very different than weights, although the benefits of the kettlebell stuff is you can treat it like free weight. You can do curls, you can do presses with it. There's like a lot more movement that you can get out of kettlebells than you can with free weights, so it gives you the feel of being able to play a little bit. You can buy an old sledgehammer and you can cut it short, and you can do about the same thing. It's just not going to be as heavy, but even if you can find like a 15-pound sledgehammer at a garage sale and you cut the handle, you can do about the same thing with it. So like the light kettlebells really aren't, in my opinion, worth it just because of that. I wouldn't, even if you don't have a lot of upper body strength, I really wouldn't go any lighter than 20 pounds because you will get a lot from it. I wouldn't get into all of this, taking your hands off of it until you're really comfortable with it. And I'd go outside and practice over grass and make sure that there's no water or electric below where you're going. But there's some good stuff that you can do. There's people who flip kettlebells and do crazy stuff like that. I'm comfortable taking my hands off and then putting my hands back on. I've tried some of the tricks, and while I can do them a few times, I really don't like doing them over my toes or over concrete. So it is what it is. You can throw a weight vest on, you can throw your rucksack on, and you'll get even more of a workout with it. But good stuff all the way around. I wouldn't, unless you're just strong, I wouldn't go above 45, 50 pounds on a kettlebell until you're ready. I've played with some of those heavy kettlebells, and they're a lot of fun. But kettlebells, they aren't designed to where you're gonna wake up broken in the morning from lifting a ton of weight. They are designed for more explosive movements and repetitive swinging motions. They are not as I guess robust of isolated movements like free weights are. That's something that I notice about them, and so it is a different kind of burn. But all in all, they're good. Cheapest commercial option would be a rock weight. They're good stuff. What is up, Tommy 2x4? Oh. Yeah, I thought you meant Shalom. I was like, are we talking Absalom over there? Because I just read about him. But no, good stuff all the way around. Oh, trust me, I feel your pain. So, funny story, and you're welcome, Josh. Funny story. This did not happen to me, and no, this isn't one of those like one of my friends one time. This is just funny story. High school. This was back in the days when Twitter was like the thing, and like everybody had a Twitter account, and you could only use 140 characters, and like pictures were just coming onto Twitter. And like it was pure gold, because like you got notifications when the people that you really wanted to follow sent tweets out, and like you could text Twitter and it would post the tweet for you. So like the Wild West of Twitter. And this was back in the day when people told the world that they were taking a big deuce and all that. So dude in my science class, and this did not happen to me, and like I said, no, this isn't, well, oh, one of my friends one time, because I'm not dodging this story, this didn't happen to me. But he was in his science class sitting real close to me, and his pen broke, and so like the ink in the pen, and I mean it was like, you know, one of these pilots or whatever, it broke and the ink went everywhere, and he tweeted, my pen just exploded and it's all over my pants. Yeah, I believe that's, yeah, my pen just exploded and it got all over my pants. Or whatever the 140 character version of that is. Well, you see, if you accidentally fat finger a letter into the word pen, P-E-N, and you accidentally fat finger another letter on the end of that P-E-I-N, so that way you fat fingered 2 letters into that, you just said that a certain appendage that is attached to the male body exploded, and that residue is now all over your pants. So that was on accident, and that was up for 24 hours before he caught it. And like I said, this was in the wild west of Twitter, and people got notified when you sent tweets out there. So sucks for this dude. He just told the whole world that something happened, and it's all over his pants. Story time, we're reading Anne of Green Gables, huh? Wife choice for the kids. Lewis L. Armour next. Love you, brother. Shalom. 100%. Enjoy that story time. Your wife and kiddos are way more important than this is. So, but yeah, Tommy, I thought you'd get a kick out of that one. So, oh. Got an early morning. Have a good one. Thank you. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Let's see. What else should we talk about? We hit basic vitals. Hit funny stories about people's, you know what's exploding and getting all over their pants, and that being on Twitter. Birthing stories. Josh, if you're still there, you mind if I go a little deep on a story? Because we've laughed, so you mind if I go a little heavy? Okay, so protecting the, I guess, the names of the people involved. So family member, extended family member, lived a good life. They were in their 90s, late 90s, lived a very, very good long life. There had been some false alarms that this person was, you know, getting ready to go. And so, you know, it was just kind of one of those, okay, hey, this is another call. This call was different. And so they were like, hey, this individual is very, very close, and we know we've called you guys before, but this one's different, and you guys need to go ahead and get here now. So everybody pretty well dropped what we were doing, and the vast, vast majority of this individual's living relatives was able to show up. It was only a few people who weren't. We all showed up. We all got a good little bit of time with her. And we, every single one of us, we individually held her hand, hugged her neck. Hey, listen, we love you. You know, this is who I am and I'm right here, you know, kind of a thing. So that way she knew that, you know, that loved one was there. It's like, hey, we love you. We're here. And it's okay. You can let go whenever you're ready, and you have our permission to let go, and it's fine. That all the way through, we all rallied together around her, and we sung her favorite hymn, and we held her, and we actually sung her into the next life. And the room that she was in had shutters, and they opened the shutters for us about the last probably 5 minutes, and they, you know, left the room, and we continued singing her in the next life, and you know, you could feel it when she passed. Like it was very, very heavy, and you could just watch her breathe her last. And like I said, she was in her very late 90s, and we were able to not only sing her in the next life, but as they were opening the shutters and as she was breathing her last, it started snowing. And to be surrounded by your basically entire living family, and every single one of them said, hey, you lived a good life, we love you, we're all doing great, and thank you so much for the life that you lived and the direction that you pointed us in, and it's okay, you can let go whenever you're ready, and all of that. It was the most beautiful thing I think I've ever seen in my life, because life well lived. I know she heard well done, good and faithful servant at the end, and her legacy was there to see her off, and her forerunners were there to greet her into that next life, and so that was powerful, really, really powerful. And I remember looking over at my helpmate and saying, if I could pick a way to go, this would be it, because she got to see her legacy. She got to see all of that all the way through, and, you know, good life, all of that. And it wasn't, you know, die quietly in sleep or anything. It was just it was time. And, you know, the last couple of years were hard, but it was a very, very beautiful way to go. And that was powerful. It stuck with me. So life and death in one go. So, Josh, what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about tonight? Since it's just you and me right now, so you got the floor. You pick the topic. We'll make it work. this works better when you suggest a topic and we chit chat about it, but if not, I can come up with something. It'll just be a second. Otherwise, just play the elevator music in your brain. Hey, we've got a new person joining us on YouTube. What should we talk about tonight? We've already hit some highs and lows, so open to suggestions. An awesome testimony of your loved one. That's an awesome way to go to the other side. Yeah, I think so too. I definitely think so. There was a time in my life where I wanted to be a full-time missionary, and I believe what I'm doing now is a version of full-time missions. It's just that's not what the paycheck is. And the paycheck is coming from tax dollars at work, but the work time is the mission. And I tell you what, the idea of being martyred always stuck out to me. That's something that I think would be a really powerful way to go to. That whole Hebrews 11 sticks with me. That some were fed to the lions, some were sawn in two, were beaten, oppressed, stoned, all the way around. Some were crucified like our master was. So the 100% tradition, there's no solid writing to back this up, but 100% tradition is that Shaul of Tarshish, that when he was getting ready to be beheaded, they told him, hey, today's the day, we're gonna go ahead and take you before the chopping block. The tradition story or whatever goes that he actually ran down the hallway to his execution. And I think that's really beautiful. That sticks with me. And whether that's exactly what happened or not, I don't know. But my desire, in the sense of if I were to ever face something like that, is that I would meet it with the same joy of I'm getting ready to go be with my master, and I can't wait. That's something that I'm not chasing the bus by any means. I want to live a faithful life, but the other side of that too is we always talk about, and Twitch brings this up all the time, is we talk about who we would die for, or what we would die for, or what cause or whatever, but what would you live for? That's the whole concept behind hurry up, you're dying, is that you're not guaranteed tomorrow, and so you better make every second count, and make it worthwhile, make it where it is bringing honor and glory to him the whole way through. So we can focus on the last 30 seconds, but the next 30 years are something that are going to matter too, a whole heck of a lot. And the other end too is what's that Francis Chan quote of, you get a whole lot of people who are so focused on their last 10 years of life, and how they want to live that out, and it's like I'm more focused on my first 10,000 years of eternity. That's something that why don't we live with that in mind than what the last couple of years may look like. I've got a loved one who, unless there's a law change, he's going to be mandatory retired in a few short months, and that'll be really interesting because he's the kind of guy who ain't ever going to stop working. But yeah, when that paycheck gets cut off and the retirement checks start coming in, that'll be really interesting. Oh. Grew up on Fox's Book of Martyrs, always prayed for the endurance in the end. That's living till an old age or sooner, 100%. Kermode, Shalom, what is up? Driving at the moment, so not gonna say much, just wanted to stop in and see what the fuss is about. I don't know what fuss, but thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it, brother. Now, I've got, actually, I think I may have just given away a copy of Fox's Book of Martyrs. It's a good book. I grew up with the DC Talk, Jesus Freaks, Volume 1 and 2, and then they had an American Revolution 1 or whatever. And, you know, for all the direction that Kevin Max and even Michael Tate now is starting to, and there's some questions about T-Max, so I don't know, but Voice of the Martyrs put those together, and then DC Talk just kind of threw some stuff in it, so I don't think it's as tainted as it could be, but of course DC Talk was back in the days when, you know, Christian music was just a different breed. So but yeah, good stuff all the way around. I think the Fox's Book of Martyrs is really good. DC Talk's Jesus Freaks book really took a spin from that one. Yeah, great albums for sure. I think the Jesus Freak album was probably their best concept, but I don't know, there's some decent albums out there for sure. I know everyone was wanting Audio Adrenaline, Newsboys, and Toby Mac to go on tour at the same time, so that way you get the DC Talk reunion tour, but I mean, the word on the street is that they were kind of bickering and that's why they separated, but who knows if that was true or not. It's just rumors at this point. So, oh goodness, let's see, 6 minutes. I think I can swing a kettlebell for 6 minutes and then call it. So you guys think about something to talk about to end it all on, and I'll swing a kettlebell. So suggestions, open mic, whatever, go for it. Let's see. Met Jeremy Camp and his drummer. They're both awesome dudes. That's cool. Gotta bounce. Have a good night. 12C. Thanks for the content. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you sticking around for basically the whole time. It means a lot. Shalom, brother. Kermode. So I had the opportunity to see Skillet a couple of different times, front row, and I'd camp out, you know, all the good stuff. And their violinist, Jonathan Chu, he was pretty cool. I met him a couple of times, shook his hand. He remembered me both times, which was really cool. He's like, hey, you know, I saw you running around last time, and that was the first time we met. And then the second time we met, he had a kiddo who was just recovering from a health issue, and I had the opportunity to kind of follow him on Twitter back in the Wild West days of Twitter, and had interacted with him a couple of times. And rock solid, genuine dude. I'd never met Tate. I had only, you know, shouted at John Cooper a couple of times, but, you know, never physically met him in person, shaking hands, anything like that. So, but yeah, their violinist, yeah, Jonathan Chu was a pretty solid dude. So that was always kind of cool to be like, oh, hey, I shook hands with their violinist, and he was not known enough to where he could walk around and like wouldn't get recognized. And I think he was flattered that I recognized him. And so that's probably why he remembered me. But yeah, good stuff all the way around. Hit a solid 30-foot patch. Block of ice. Thank you, Yah, for protection. 100%. Yeah, dude, why don't you go ahead and keep your eyes on the road? We're basically done. I got 2 minutes left, so. Much love, bro. Shalom, too. Pretty good in concerts, all the Winter Jam. Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of Winter Jam. I've been. What I don't like about Winter Jam is, and you know, it's their tour, they can do whatever they want. But new song, like outside of Winter Jam and there's another one. It's like a summer jam or whatever, but they don't call it that. But outside of those two tours, they don't tour. Like it's just new song on those. And for people who are like uninitiated, when Newsboys tours with them, it's like, what's the difference between new song and Newsboys? Like people miss that. And then like they play themselves up with the headlining band. And they're usually not near as well known as like some of the people who are opening like 5 or 6 sets before them. So that is one of those, like I said, it's their tour. They can do whatever they want. I think that's a little deceptive. Also, they have a no encore policy. So any of like the encores that are done are against their policy. And then the other thing is that like they'll do like the live show like outside or whatever with the smaller bands. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Winter Jam. It's really good at milking dollars out of people for like charity or whatever, which is fine, but like what's the quality of these charities is my big question. Because they'll get you in the door for like $10, but then they'll, you know, very easily, it's like a carnival, they'll milk, you know, $100 out of a lot of kids. And, you know, could they spend their money on worse things? Of course they could. But it's something that I'm just not the biggest fan. I had the opportunity when I was leading a youth group to go to one of their conferences that they did that was run by the same thing, and I got to sit in on the youth minister thing, and the new song people came out, and I wasn't impressed. The other bands that they get to do with them, that's fine, you know, it is what it is. But I just just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I just wasn't impressed. The whole guy who was running things just had an ego about him that I didn't like. But that's just my experience. So what do you tell Christians when they tell you you're cursed under the law because we decide to follow it because we love Yah and what he tells us to do if we love him? Even, I've made it clear that I'm saved with faith in Yeshua as Messiah's gift. Deep conversation on that one, which I'm not opposed to at all. A lot of people in my life are really just more in the acquisitive stage. I really haven't been confronted a ton. I've had a little bit of like, hey, what are you doing? But I don't believe that I'm special. And it's the, hey, I believe I'm saved by Messiah's perfect sacrifice, and the fact that I believe that I've been called to follow him. I'm not asking that you do what I do. That's usually where the conversation goes, and it's like, hey, these are the reasons that I believe, and I usually will open scripture and walk them through a couple of things, but I don't like making it to where people feel like they're just being drug around like a whole bunch of different verses. It's just more of a discussion. It's like, hey, let's just talk, and if you disagree with me, that's fine. But the other thing too is, and I'm willing to be rebuked on this, but I don't see a requirement to keep Torah. I don't see a requirement to follow Torah. I think it's good, and it's something that I believe there's a lot of blessing in it. I believe there's a lot of abundance in it. I believe the requirement for salvation is to follow Messiah, and I believe that he calls people to follow Torah, and that the hope that is in us is in him solely, and that the joy of following him is that the Torah is our teacher, our instructor, and that we learn so much at the feet of the master. That is where that is for me, and I haven't had a ton of pushback. I mean, I've had a little bit here and there, but most people that ask me those kind of questions are very willing to listen to what I have to say, and if they're not, then it's kind of a pearls before swine thing. So if people are not willing to have a discussion about it, then it's like, hey, I'm not willing to argue, because it's like, hey, this is what scripture says, and if you're not willing to have a civilized discussion about it, then maybe we don't need to have a civilized discussion. Maybe we just need to part ways. So that's kind of where a lot of that is for me, and I haven't seen in scripture where like salvation is dependent on following Torah. That's not something that I see. What I've come to understand is that following Torah is good, and that there's a lot of life in it, and people who are willingly being disobedient to the Father, that's where there's a problem. But someone who's just seeking him, he'll call them and lead them if they're diligently seeking him. That's where I see it. So, because I'll tell you what, I'm a broken POS who he could have given up on millions of times, and he didn't. So, what's to say that he doesn't call them too? So, anyway, we are more than 45. Kermode, you got anything else before we get out of here? Shalom, brother. You have a good night.